What's going on, team? Welcome to the Long Run Podcast, episode 13, where we're going to be talking about Canmore. We're going to be talking about an exciting new partnership that we have, and we're going to speak about fatherhood and dads. So join us today on episode 13. This is the Long Run. I'm Sach and Glen, 48 years old, and I just ran over 3,700 kilometers across Canada, averaging 50 kilometers a day to raise awareness and funds for mental health. Along the way, we had thousands of conversations with Canadians, from first responders to everyday people, about what's really going on beneath the surface. This podcast isn't just about running, it's about resilience, purpose, and how we learn to keep moving forward in the long run. No, first, I think, man, I'm pretty excited right now, man.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting times, a lot of exciting developments for what we're doing, and got a new partnership, man.
With the Canadians Men's Health Foundation.
Yeah.
Just to give people some context, the Canadians Men's Health Foundation has been a long-time collaborator and partner with you. How did that happen?
Man, that's going back at least a couple years. Before I was going to kick off for my run across Canada, probably about a year before that, I was looking for partners and charities to support and get involved with and get some help. So I reached out to the Canadian Men's Health Foundation and started conversations with them, with Mike Agrabo, who was involved I think he was pretty much volunteering his time because he lived in the same area as I did. Mm-hmm. And Kenton, who's the CEO, lives in the interior. So I think what ended up happening, he asked Mike, hey, can you go meet up with this guy in White Rock who's talking about running across the country? See if this guy's legit. So we met at my local coffee spot, Everbean Cafe. What's up, guys? Doing awesome work. And sat down, chatted, and I kind of shared my story. And he was like, what? What are you going to do? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, man. So that's how we kind of started the partnership and collaboration. And Kenton, the CEO, has been a legit guy and really respect him. He's been in the media space for over 20 years.
Yep.
A ton of experience. And like I said, they're doing great work at the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. So it was a no-brainer to start that conversation and continue the partnership to today.
Absolutely. And what I also found that's been really interesting as the organization's evolved is now they have this collaboration with Blueprint, which is like a research project backed by UBC. They do a lot of hardcore research into like men's specific issues, and there's a lot of insight and value there. So what does this partnership mean for us? Why are we collaborating? How can people benefit from this partnership? What are we thinking?
Well, first off, I'm glad you mentioned Blueprint, because Blueprint, not only for men, but their research was really around first responders and veterans.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of insight that they have. And what does it mean for us? I mean, look, they have a lot of tools that they use to help support men. So what we're going to be doing with this partnership and the podcast is obviously we're going to speak about what they do. In our show notes, we're going to put some links to some of the benefits that they offer: free mental health for men, various different toolkits to help men when they're struggling with depression or anxiety. And so those are some of the things that we're going to be supporting them with by messaging that out. And I wanted to also just kind of share something really quick from a message from the CEO, Kenton, to kind of give you an insight as to what they do and really the CEO behind it. So I'm going to read that off real quick because it's not super long, but I couldn't memorize it. I tried, but I couldn't. So the Canadian Men's Health Foundation is one of the leading organizations in the country helping men live longer, healthier lives. They reach millions of people every year in communities right across Canada. And at the core of it, it's about this: you're not alone. And we're all stronger when we support each other. Is that enough? I don't think so. We got to do more. So yeah, essentially that's essentially what they do and why we've partnered, and we're excited.
100%. And so if you're a man watching this and you're looking for some kind of support, there are a bunch of links in the description, and this is just the start of this partnership, and it's going to evolve into a more meaningful and deeper integration as we kind of progress with our own mission. But we're super excited to kick this partnership off with CMHF. Okay, so coming into today's episode, I think this was day 12 or 13. We got into Canmore. Canmore, what do you remember from that time?
What I remember is that we were nestled in the mountains in a small mountain town that was the most beautiful spot that we had experienced, or at least I did up until that point on the run.
Mhm.
It was freaking awesome, man. It was a small town surrounded by the Rockies. And I've been there before, but not in the summertime. And a totally different vibe in the summer. And it's a lot of outdoor type of people, a lot of out there, mountain biking, hiking, trail running, the whole nine. And that town had that vibe. Kind of like if anyone's been to Whistler, but not as big and commercialized.
Yeah.
Right? It was more of that sort of feel. Awesome coffee shops, pastry places, bike stores, like a whole 9 yards, man. So that's what I remember.
Yeah. We got to Canmore because of our friends at their opportunity. And like always, they just knocked it out of the park. They sent, I forget, I spaz out on his name, but a representative from their opportunity flew over to spend time with us. They had this collaboration set up with a local coffee shop, if you remember, in the morning / bike store. And what was cool about that day was one of their ambassadors, who happens to be a professional downhill mountain biking dude, also showed up. This was also around the time where we made the pivot on the run, and we're actually going into towns and cities, hoping to reach out to people, talk about mental health. And I remember that day really vividly because we had parked right where like the town square was, like right in the middle. And that day we had so many people filter in and out. We had, and I remember that day, like I think I spoke to like 600 people that day. It was just insane. And this was the start of where that energy for our run also started to shift, because now we were going to people rather than past them. So Canmore was really special for me from that angle. Do you remember that dude from VAC?
Yeah, from VAC, yeah. Yeah, I know. So it's a trip, eh? Look, I spent like extremely small amount of time in the military, maybe a year. I applied to go into the military, went through basic training, passed basic training, and went to the Royal Military College in Kingston, Ontario. I hadn't had my mental health really strapped in at that time. I was drinking way too much, and I basically failed all my classes and then dropped out, right? And so for me, that time in my life was a really dark time and shameful time, and was never really proud of it and didn't really talk about it to anybody. And we're going to probably circle back to that when we talk about day, whatever it was in Kingston, Ontario. So we can revisit that for that day. But yeah, so I never thought, and even to some degree at this stage, I don't think of myself as a veteran. I didn't do anything. But when I met with this VAC person in Canmore, and he was just on vacation. I'm running around town. He sees the RV in the center of town. He walks by it, and he's like, what the heck's going on here? He starts talking to you guys. I end up circling back, and he's like, hey, man, what's your story? What's your deal? I share kind of what my sort of background was. He's like, you should probably, apply for certain things because you do qualify to get a veteran ID card. I was like, listen, man, I'm not a veteran, man. I went there for a year. I flunked out. I didn't do anything. He's like, yeah, but you're still eligible, so you might as well do it. So I was like, okay, cool. And so, but point being, he was really helpful, really informative, and supported what we were doing. And so anyways, that's kind of how that sort of entered my mind. And then, a few months later when I came back home in October of last year, I applied for my veteran's ID card and ended up getting it.
Yeah. So I guess we owe Canmore thanks to that. So, you got access to kind of the help that you also needed at the time. And it was really cool. When it came to the running itself, what do you remember from that day? And we have a couple of images as well that we can kind of play through. I'd just love to get to hear some of your thoughts as we wandered through Canmore.
Well, the first, the running started. I started with Bayless, the mountain biker.
Yeah, we'll just start with the images. Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is obviously I'm on my own here. This is Canmore. And look, man, like how freaking awesome is that? Like, I mean, actually the day felt pretty good. and it was cool to run in and around trails and around the mountains. And the trail system out there was legit.
Yeah.
And so there was so much running you could do in the area. And so that's what that is there, man. It's like a little trail area where you're kind of going down these boardwalks. And
Yeah. We'll move on to the next one.
yeah, that's in the heart of the town. And I'm floating, as you can see, no feet on the ground. So for those of you who are listening and not watching, man, this is like, you see the mountains in the background, the Rockies to my left and right. You see obviously trees and like cabins, and I'm on a little wooden bridge here.
Next one.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole terrain was this, just in and around trees and wildlife and wilderness.
Yeah.
It was, and the weather was awesome that day. It rained a little bit,
Yeah.
but it wasn't freezing. It was nice. I think, when I went out, there was a portion of rain that came down pretty hard, but it was nice, man.
If you remember, at the end of the day, we all kind of jumped in the river to cool off.
Yeah, because my wheels were feeling pretty, my legs were feeling pretty sore, and I had pretty bad blisters on my feet at this time. And I was like, let's see what it's going to feel like to put my legs in. It felt nice. Dipping the legs in the glacier water was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Next image.
Yeah. I mean, these are cool shots, man. This is like...
this is that famous bridge from, I think, The Last of Us, or like one of the shows.
Okay.
They shot like something here, and I remember Colin was like, yeah, we need to like get a shot on this bridge as well because it's pretty iconic.
It's cool, man.
Yeah, next one.
Yeah, this by the river. Just running around all of Canmore and staying within the town. Clearly, I was on my own here. I don't remember...
Yeah, because you did a couple of loops by yourself, and then Liam came in for the second half.
Right.
That's how plugged in you were, I guess. How does this image make you feel? Because as I was going through these images, this one really spoke to me.
That's a wicked shot, man. I think I might have even climbed that mountain in the past.
Oh, really?
I can't remember which one that one is. But I've been to Canmore before, and I've done some hikes up all the way up in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it could be one of those. Howling or something in that area, I think it might be. I'm not sure if that's in Canmore or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, we have so much footage from this day, but I think this one kind of...
Well, what does it say to you? I'll tell you what it says to me, but...
For me, it was just like a representation of the task ahead. And I don't just mean the run. I mean the scale of the mental health challenge as well, and how it can often feel like, if you're struggling, it feels like you're just trying to conquer that mountain, and you're just a single tiny person trying to like work your way through it. But there is a path up that mountain, and the way you get through it is just one step at a time.
So I feel something totally different when I see it.
Oh, really?
But I'm glad. Listen, man, that's what image and pictures are for, right?
Yeah, of course.
Interpretation. And for me, I'm thinking, I feel a warm, positive energy when I look at this picture. I feel the word beautiful keeps coming to my mind. Peace. So you can basically, for those who are listening, it's basically a landscape image with me to the right side of the image in a small kind of, not focused on me, but focused on the mountain, and then the trees, and in the foreground you have basically the grass or the bush, and in the background on the right side you see some of these cabins and sort of vacation homes. And for me, that's like paradise. Like, I love that look, man. It looks so beautiful.
I was surprised that the rents in Canmore are more than Vancouver.
It's expensive out there for sure to own a property. It ain't cheap. It's like being in Banff.
100%. Right, next one.
Oh yeah, man. Colin was with me pretty much for like 20K that day, I think, right?
He knocked it out of
He
the park.
crushed it.
Yeah.
I think he was having fun too, man, just taking some of the shots and pictures. Like, I mean, yeah, that's a nice pathway. And one of the more enjoyable days was Canmore.
100%.
Just from because we had more people around us.
Good
energy, positivity. The weather was nice. We're out in not the wilderness, but like surrounded by beauty. Yeah. Like, all of these things were really positive for me.
Next one, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see him.
I remember you ran up and down this particular trail a couple of times.
Yeah. I started becoming familiar with it.
And if I remember correctly, you were telling me that, the wood was softer on your feet.
Yeah. So even in training, when I would, so I live in White Rock, and there's a pier in White Rock that goes out to the, into the beach. And when obviously I was running so much in training, I started recognizing when I would run on that, it would feel less pounding on my feet because it would absorb more and bounce me back a little bit. So this was no different than that pier. And so I was like, okay, this will give me some recovery time running on this rather than on the pavement.
Awesome. Next. This is Liam Bayless. So he is, I guess, an ambassador for Their Opportunity, and Their Opportunity is an incredible charity where they work with young kids who are of like lower income groups, who are at risk, and gets them into sports. So they're primarily focused towards like Oshawa and Toronto and Windsor and all those places, mainly in Ontario, but they do an incredible job. They have a bunch of sports programs. And I believe last year, I think like 15,000 kids went through their programs, and they work in like soccer, hockey, a whole bunch of them. And this guy is one of the ambassadors. So he, whenever he has time, he, I guess, mentors kids and kind of talks about his experience. And Liam was a really cool dude. I remember like the previous day he was hitting some trails and he scraped his shin really bad. And he just showed up, taped it up, and then still showed up.
Yeah, he was a good kid. So he's a professional mountain or mountain biker, but like not downhill mountain bikes. It was more like tricks. So he would like go off of ramps and like flips and kind of like X game kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's a professional and he's sponsored athlete, all that kind of stuff. So when he came out, he couldn't run because his foot got mangled. So he said, I'll ride the bike next to you. So he rode his bike with me as I ran. And look, he's, probably old enough to be my son. Like he's probably like, I don't know, early 20s. And he switched on, man. Yeah. Good kid. And we had some really good conversations as we were moving along. So it seems like his heart's in the right place, doing the right things. And for me, I got a lot of value out of hanging out with him for however long I did. I learned a lot for myself as well.
Yeah, we have a video a little later. We'll move on to the next image.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Liam's two siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool. Next image.
There we are.
And that's actually Liam's family in the back. His dad, his mom, his siblings, they all came out on bikes. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. It is cool to see people like collective as a family doing things together like that. I didn't experience that kind of stuff a lot as a kid. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one. Do you remember what you guys talked about?
Yeah, there's some... So obviously a lot of the conversations were private, right? And I don't think it would be fair for me to share anything. But having said that, he spoke about what he's doing in terms of his career as a professional mountain biker. He spoke about how he stays motivated, how he tries to surround himself by people who are doing amazing things and really challenging themselves. So I got a lot of value out of that, to see a kid of that age already thinking that way. That really, for me, was like, because I didn't think that way when I was his age.
Of course.
At all. And I was like, man, this guy switched on at freaking 20-something. And at that time, I was 47. I was like, bro, like when you're my age, you're going to be killing it if you keep down this path. So for me, that was eye-opening. And I thought, man, how does someone at that age already kind of get to that place where they can understand things at a level in which that I'm understanding them at my age?
Yeah.
And it was, and it let me know that you could think a certain type of way at any age. Just need the right sort of people around you to help you to facilitate that and get you to think that way. Because he didn't create that way of thinking.
Of course.
It was developed. And so that was cool for me to say.
Do you think that sort of mentality is it something instinctive, or is it something that can be developed?
Look, I think anything can be developed. And I think some things are instinctive. Are people born with that? I don't know. I don't know. Was I born with that? I don't think so. Have I developed it over time? 100%. I wasn't born with gifts, man. Like, I'm pretty average at a lot of things. Like, legitimately. Never had good grades in school. Flunked out of university. Never graduated. Never was exceptional when I was on the wrestling team in high school. Never was exceptional in any sporting event ever until I was in my late 20s. And I don't think I was exceptional at that time when I started competing in bodybuilding. So how did I get to where I am today? I think it's developed, man. I think if you're open-minded enough to get information from other people to figure out how to do things better, then yeah, you can.
Yeah. I think like what I remember from this image as well, and specifically with Liam, I remember feeling a little sad for myself in a way, where his whole family showed up and I saw that they were all behind him in this path that he's taking, which is highly risky. So many things can happen, but his parents are behind him, super supportive. And I didn't have that growing up. My parents, they're awesome people. But I remember in that moment feeling a little bit sad for myself, being like, man, I wonder where I'd be if I had that. Obviously, I snapped out of it immediately because I think I'm in when I think about my life today, it's turned out way better than I could have even imagined. But it just put me on this path of thinking like a lot of people probably don't have that kind of support at home, where you've probably grown up in a household where your parents haven't been involved, maybe even a little bit abusive. I don't know. But when I think about someone like Liam, who's obviously not the top of his game, but he's really a high performer, and he comes from an environment that is conducive to helping him explore and perform at his best. A part of me feels a little bit sad. I wish I had some of that at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get that, man. It makes sense. I could probably relate more to you in that kind of way. Look, for me, I love my parents. What I do understand now is they did the best with what they had at the time they did it, and They understood. Did I feel sometimes like, oh, I wish this, I wish that? Yeah, man, I did. I don't anymore, for a lot of reasons. Because now I understand a lot deeper that, look, my parents were immigrants. So their priority was to put food on the table and to make sure there was a roof over our heads. And their focus wasn't really, oh, let's get them into play some sports and games. That's how they would look at it. And so the perspective is different.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't grow up here. They didn't experience the culture. They didn't see the value in those things. Do they see it differently now? Yeah, absolutely. But at the time, they didn't. So when I wanted to do certain activities, that was never really an option. And things that I gravitated towards weren't valued in the same way. It was primarily, okay, study, be academic, get good grades, which I wasn't good at.
What was that? Like, what were you into as a kid?
Man, I loved comics. I loved movies. Loved sport. I don't even think I love sports. I love the story of sports, right? And I gravitated to, let me think about this. I remember one time I was watching Rocky on TV at home, and I go to my family. I was young. I was like, man, I want to be a boxer. They all started laughing. And so now that I think about it, it's like, why did I even say that?
Was it like laughing and like, oh, how cute? Or do you feel like
you're
you were
ridiculous?
Being mocked? Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're ridiculous. What are you talking? Don't be stupid. But what was it about that I liked? Was it the actual boxing, or was it the story that I saw in Rocky that wanted me to become a boxer or wanted me to learn boxing? I think it's probably the story of triumph, the story of someone who was nothing and who became something. And then before that, I used to love The Incredible Hulk, the TV show with Lou Ferrigno. That's when I started thinking, oh, what the hell's up with this guy? He's jacked and bodybuilding and all that. And why does someone like me think that way? Now that I have time to reflect on it, I was bullied. I was picked on. I was small and whatever. So I saw someone like that who was strong and big. I was like, man, I want to be like that. And so things like that, I was interested. I'm not sure if I was really cared about sport. Like, I want to play soccer or I want to play baseball. I don't think I ever really felt that. But I saw certain things in activities. Like, I remember I used to do, I was young, man. My parents used to take me and my brother to karate classes. I loved it. I got to my yellow belt, and then we stopped. I don't know why. My parents stopped taking us. I was like, I want to go back. No, we just probably had to do with finances and money and whatever. But the things that I gravitated to weren't really explored, and the things that they valued, I was not good at.
Yeah.
So I was like, shit, man, it kind of lays the foundation of not thinking much. Now, having said that, that's all in my head. So when I became an adult, I have control over how I do things after that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get out of that victim kind of mindset. I got comfortable sitting in there for a while.
Yeah.
Not really understanding that, well, wait a second, man. I can actually control what I do.
So I'm going to pause you right there. So this probably happened when formative years, so maybe 8 to like 13, for example. What do you remember of your mindset and the way you used to think when you became, say, 18 to 20? So, and the reason why I ask is I totally relate. Pretty similar boat where, didn't get to do the things I wanted to do, always interested in other things apart from like studies, kind of sucked in school. Parents are like, what the hell's wrong with this kid? You're smart, but you're not performing. Teachers are like, yeah, he's smart, but he's not paying attention and all that stuff. Probably undiagnosed ADHD, whatever. Always curious about things, interested in music and all that stuff, except not performing in where my folks wanted me to perform, which was books. How did that shape you? And not feeling, I guess, supported with the things you wanted to do. So how did that shape your sort of thinking when you turned 18, 20?
So I think, so that was my interpretation. I felt like, okay, the reality was, I don't think my parents knew how to support me in what I wanted.
Yep.
Right. And so in high school, when I was 13, 14, I was bullied so much that we just moved to Dallas, Texas. So I was the only, didn't have any friends, brand new, all that kind of stuff. Different culture, everything.
Only brown kid?
At the time. Yeah. And they classified me as Oriental. In my high school report card and everything, it said Oriental on ethnicity. They actually put your ethnicity on there. I was like, I'm not Oriental. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I tried out for the guidance counselor. Was like, hey, just try out for the basketball team. I was like, I freaking haven't even touched a basketball in my life. What am I going to do? And it's Dallas, These 12, 13, 14 years old, they know how to play basketball. And so I got cut after a day of tryouts. And then my dad came in and was like, he needs to do something. Something needs to happen. And the guidance counselor was like, well, we have a wrestling team. The wrestling coach is really nice. He'll take on anybody. He'll let anyone join the team. So for me, I wrestled. And so were my parents supportive in that? Yes. But what does that mean? Supportive in saying, hey, yeah, you should probably do this thing, but not supportive in what my peers' family members were doing.
Yeah.
Where their parents were involved, man. They're showing up, they're helping, guiding them, coaching, like all these different things that were there. But my parents, didn't understand that. And they didn't, they also had work.
Yeah.
And so they were doing, they had to do what they had to do. So anyways, now fast forward to 18, 19. Honestly, man, if I'm being honest, I don't even know, like my headspace was so screwed up at that time that I don't even think I can properly answer your question, because finished high school. At that time, my family was dealing with a lot of stuff, financial. We were living in the United States. My dad got laid off, opened up a restaurant. That restaurant did well, that first one, opened up a second one, then went bankrupt. So now we have no money, living in a hotel. Because we couldn't afford the house. So now we're living in a hotel where the restaurant was at. And my parents were like, okay, what do we do? Because we're probably not going to stay in America anymore. So that was the dynamic I was in at 18, 19, 20. So my parents were like, okay, we're going to sell everything, go to Mumbai for a bit. And my brother and I were like, okay. So that was the environment, 18 to 20. So I honestly, I didn't know my left from right. I was just not good.
Yeah.
So I went to, I did go to university the first year at UT Dallas. Failed every single class because I just was in the wrong headspace to even go to school.
Mm.
And so that was so I can't answer your question properly to say, like, was my headspace at a high performing level? No, it was barely just there.
Yeah. The reason why I asked was also, again, this is exactly similar to what I went through as well. And I think watching Liam and his folks kind of evoke this in me. I'm obviously over it now, but it just kind of reminded me of that turbulent period in my life growing up where you're just confused. You don't know what's the right step. And all you can think about is like, oh, how I'm screwing everything up and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I was really fortunate when I was 16, 17. I had someone, I was working like a summer job, and the guy I was working for mentored me. And for the first time at that age, someone that I can remember, or that really remember, someone told me that I was good at something. And that completely changed my life. Did you have that?
I wasn't good at anything.
Mm.
I mean, straight up, man. I sucked at everything I did. I'm trying to think, what was I actually good at, or things that I entered into? Going to the gym, lifting a little bit of weights with a couple friends. I mean, that was the only thing I had that I thought I was. And at the time, this might sound so superficial, but because it is, I was extremely good looking at the time.
Like, still are.
I had hair. So I have alopecia, so my hair fell out when I was 19, 20. But at the time, I had like full head of hair. I did some modeling. Like there was certain, like, so I identified myself to the look, how I looked. And anytime I'd go out somewhere, it was weird. Like it would. So I was so shy and so intimidated by others. I didn't even know how to interact with women when they came up to me.
Wow.
I didn't even know how to respond or how to. So I wasn't good at even dating because I never dated. My parents were that strict. I never dated. All through high school, all that stuff. I never dated anybody. So it was extremely socially awkward in environments where other people were, and especially females. So to answer your question, what was I good at? Man, fuck, man. Not much. Honestly, not much.
And that's a lot. Now, at this stage, what were your thoughts towards your parents like? So, like, let's talk about 18 to 25. So I can imagine super formative years. Purpose isn't even a thing on your radar. There's no question of ambition. It's just, I guess, is it fair to say that you were just kind of stumbling through?
First thing that, honestly, this is probably not on topic of what we were going to discuss today, but first thing in my head was freedom.
Getting out of your parents' house?
Yeah. Just being moved. Drove from Dallas, Texas to Vancouver in a U-Haul truck with my brother, and nonstop, and then moved to Richmond, BC, in a shitty apartment, trying to figure out how to survive and what to do. And I thought, oh, I got freedom. I can just get fucking hammered every day now. And then, but my brother was pretty responsible, so he was like, get your shit together. But I just hadn't gotten my shit together. And trying to find jobs, partying, drinking. So man, it wasn't like, there was many years that I haven't really revisited because I'm not proud of who I was at those times. So if I were to objectively look at myself from now and at that point, I had nothing going for me. I wasn't doing anything productive. I wasn't going to school. I was barely working. Poor habits. Like, I was a loser.
Did you have a lot of resentment towards like your upbringing, your parents at the time?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of like, I had a lot of fear of my parents,
Mm.
right? More my dad. So there was a fear, and there was never even a standing up to him or anything like that. And that translated to my brother a little bit too, where I almost had him as a second kind of dad figure kind of thing. And so I always felt contained, never really free to be me.
Mm.
And now what does that mean? I mean, if I was free to be me at that age, it probably wouldn't have been good. But if I would reflect back younger years, it'd be like I wasn't free to understand who I was because everything was controlled and told what I needed to do and how I needed to do it. It wasn't done in a way how I would parent my daughter now, where I'm controlling every outcome and dictating the path forward. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't experience much other than the things that were told for me to experience. So I don't think I understood who I was and what I was capable of, because I hadn't done anything that I was successful at. So was I bitter? Sure. And that lasted for a while. Yeah.
When did you break out of that pattern of thinking? And the reason why I ask is because it's not that a unique of a story, right? I think everyone listening can kind of relate to this a little bit, being like, yeah, it was kind of shitty. My parents weren't as supportive as I'd like them to be, et cetera, et cetera. But at some point, you must have realized that they're just parents at the end of the day, and all they did was their best.
No, 100%. I really realized that over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just because of the cosmic roll of the dice, things aren't equal, right? People are born in different places. You start from different points in life. And at some point, you have to stop blaming your upbringing or your environment or whatever and take ownership. When did that start for you?
The last few years.
Really?
Yeah. If I'm being honest.
So you're telling me that you had a pretty full career at the CBSA, bought a house, got married, but it was only in the last couple of years that you really started to move forward from that. Wow.
Yeah, because look, man, I didn't reflect long and deep enough as much as I do now, right? And so for me, I was just going on to the next thing, not really even thinking about things, just stumbling forward. So it wasn't like I was angry at my parents all the time or any of these types of things, but there was an underlying resentment that was really pointed at myself. I just didn't know it. I didn't take ownership of my own problems because they were all mine. I created them. No one created them for me. And it was my perspective was wrong. The reality is I had a great childhood. The reality is I was given a lot of opportunities. And did I take full advantage of them? No. That's on me, not on anyone else. My parents did the best with what they had, with the knowledge that they had. If they knew what they knew then, what they know now, yeah, they'd probably do different. But they just did the best they could, right? They're new immigrants to the country, didn't understand certain things. It's a different vibe. So it took me time to get to where I am today. And how did I get to where I am today? Because I had to do my own work. I had to unpack things. I had to understand things. I didn't understand things properly. I was in a victim mindset. Why this? Why that? How come this? All these different types of things. And when I started realizing, well, listen, man, I'm in my 40s. How many more years am I going to be a little baby and complain about other people when I can take ownership of my own problems, which I created all of them? So if I've created all my problems, that means I can create all those solutions.
Yeah.
And so for me, then I went on a path in figuring that out because I didn't know. So do you go back to the people that maybe your parents to see if they know better? Well, no, at this stage, you can understand what skill sets, who has what. And so then I went on a path of curiosity, engaging, just searching out people and people that aligned and people that made sense and I resonated with. And then when I started that, then things started really shifting. And so today, 2026, do I have any resentment towards anybody? No. Do I take ownership of every single thing that's happened in my own life? Yes, I've done everything. They've been all up to me. They've been my choices from the age of 18 to now. That's more than 20 years, man. That's freaking 30 years.
Yeah.
So who am I? I'm going to blame people for, for 30 years? No, that's fucking all me. I did all that. So the problem is people don't want to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you did all that, man.
Yeah.
You made all those errors. You didn't take control of your life. You didn't make better decisions. You didn't make better choices. That was all on me. Yeah. And so for me, I had to learn that. And if anyone's listening to this at all, I think the gift you can give yourself, if you're struggling if it's similar to either me or Glenn, is the gift you can give is take ownership of your life. You control it, nobody else does. And as soon as you take ownership, you can start creating a path forward. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And as soon as you acknowledge, you can move forward.
So, great speech, by the way. 10 on 10.
Yeah. No, but keynote speech.
But let me throw this at you. I've listened to what you're saying. Makes complete sense. I feel like I've driven my life into a path where I'm not happy with where I am. What are my first steps?
You know what? That's a challenging question that I feel like there's no cookie cutter answer for it. Everyone's a unique individual. Everyone has similar feelings and experiences, but you're unique in how you respond to certain types of things. So it's hard to say this is what you do. This is what everyone should do, and that's going to fix everything. I don't know. I think it's more boutique than that. I think people have to understand individuals a little bit better to help craft or design a path forward to help them specifically to their needs. Mm. Now, having said that, first step, understand why you're here. What is your purpose? What do you want to do? Because that dictates everything else. Because if you decide, let's say, for example, you want to say you're I don't know, 13, 14, 15, and you say you want to be a doctor. Okay, that's your purpose. You have to set the goal, you have to set the purpose before you decide on how to achieve it. Yeah. So if you want to be a doctor, okay, well, I got to go to school. I got to get good grades. I got to go do this, and this. And if you have to do all of those things, that dictate other habits that you have to incorporate into that. So if you have to go to a certain type of school, well, that means I have to learn how to time manage. That means I have to learn how to study better. If I have to do extracurricular activities, well, I got to go volunteer. I got to do that. Like all of the things that are associated. Similarly, if your purpose is to serve the collective or do service, okay, what does that mean? Reverse engineer what that means and how to do it. And then when you reverse engineer it, that'll tell you the path that you should be going on. Mm. And then it becomes, I don't want to say easy or simple, but it becomes clear. And when something is clear, then you can overcome the challenges as they present themselves because your purpose is greater than the challenge that presents itself.
That's a good starting point. For someone who decides to do that for themselves, do you think that plugging into some kind of community or finding someone who can help maybe set up a framework or nudge them in the right direction is important? And if so, what do you think is the best way to find that person or that community?
Yeah, look, I think it helped me. And I think that fundamentally, and I've talked to a lot of people and a lot of people that are much smarter than I am. And I think there's basically two types of people. One type of person who can actually figure out these things on their own. And those people are kind of rare. And then the other type is people that need help and support or mentorship or guidance or coaching to get there. I'm one of the second types. I needed mentorship. It wasn't lack of like effort or wanting to do something good. I just didn't know how to do it. Yeah. And so for me, I think it's important to find people that can help you achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. Now, they're not telling you what to do. They're helping you by giving you tools so that you can help yourself do it. And I think that's the gift, right? You don't give a man a fish. You teach him. And I think that's what mentorship's about, coaching's about. having a friend that knows something more than you that's willing to share and help. I mean, that's the only reason I'm here. Well, not the only, one main reason that I'm here today doing what I'm doing is because of a whole bunch of other people. And even the people that I might not resonate with, that could have presented many challenges, they too gave me something on how not to do something. So if you're open and observant to all of the things, you can really learn a lot. But I think it ultimately comes down to the direction that you're going in, which will dictate who you're going to kind of reach out to.
Yeah. Yeah. And well said. I guess that's a lot to unpack there. And I think for us today, this is what we wanted to also talk about, where we've noticed that a lot of men feel, well, they feel a lot of resentment towards the way they were brought up. And we saw that on the run as well. Hundreds of conversations of young guys specifically feeling like their parents haven't done enough or their parents screwed them up. And there might be some truth to that. But at some point, you need to like stop and take ownership, because it is your life at the end of the day, and your life has meaning and your life has purpose. And in your case as well, objectively, you realize this pretty late in life, but with the right questions, the right drive, and finding the right people, what you've been able to do in 5 years is awesome. All of that came because I saw Liam and his dad.
Yeah.
And his family. And I was thinking like, geez, man, I wish I had some of that, but I didn't. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
But also, like, on that, just real quick, 99% of the parents out there are trying to do the best for their child.
100%.
They're not trying to screw their child up.
100%.
So I think compassion is super important.
Very important.
Right? Like, understanding. And I reflect back on my dad, man. Like, was he perfect? No. Was he terrible? No. Man, if I really reflect back, man, he experienced way more traumas than I did.
Yeah.
He's 80 now. Left India when he was 19. Hadn't spoken a lick of English. Hadn't seen a white person before. Hadn't seen a woman in a dress before. And he gets to England on Christmas Day 60 years ago. Had to learn English. Worked in a factory. Went to the university during the day and factory at night for 5 years nonstop, and ended up getting a scholarship to get a master's in electrical engineering. One of the fewest South Asians at the time to get that at the University of Wales, Cardiff. Okay, I can imagine how freaking hard that would have been.
100%.
People weren't renting him places because he was brown. Like, they wouldn't give him a place to stay. He would sleep in the factory.
I can't even imagine like how difficult it must have been to make friends, find community. Like,
yeah, like, I mean, now that I really think about it, I mean, I could see some of the why he behaved in certain types of ways. And he just did the best he could. And he did pretty amazing, man. Like, he's 80, he just published a book.
yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, he's switched on. And so he would he's one of my first mentors, man. Like, I mean, I learned conviction, I learned discipline, I learned consistency, I learned freaking hard work, right? I didn't learn how to execute against those things very well until most recently.
Yeah.
But that's where I learned it. And so I feel, when we see guys like Liam who are awesome, man, and who have that support, it's so awesome to see it in the way. And look, we just see it from an external perspective too. We're seeing something that we may be projecting, right? But I think what the point is like, at the end of the day, it's still up to us.
100%.
And we get to decide how we want to move forward. We can either be bitter or upset or sad or whatever, or we can just figure it out, move on from that, and try to see how we can be productive.
Absolutely. Because there's so much waiting on the other side of it, right?
Man.
Living. Yeah.
Like, I honestly, man, I was talking to my run coach. He's not my run coach anymore, but he was for 5 years. We'll bring him on the podcast, Coach Ron Lowen. I was talking to him yesterday because he's coaching my daughter now, once a week for track. Not for track, for her soccer, to get more agility and speed and whatnot. And it was cool to talk to him, man, and just, have a few conversations. And he asked me at the end, he's like, how's your mental health now? Just straight up just asked me. He's a legit dude, man. Really good coach. And I was like, honestly, man, it's probably the best I've ever been in my entire life. just where I need to be, and I'm happy with who I am at this stage. I'm happy with the trajectory of the next 10, 20 years, whatever they may be. So to your point about, there is happiness after, once you start figuring things out, man. I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting here right now. Like 6, 7 years ago, this was not even on my radar. What I'm doing now, who I'm doing it with, how conversations I'm having, people I'm connecting with, the money that we're like everything is freaking a gift. And so, and that's all from me just taking ownership and taking responsibility and trying to just do things better and not blaming other people.
100%. And that was really the point we wanted to talk about with today specifically, was that, with a little ownership, letting go of certain things that are beyond your control, little forgiveness as well, and compassion. Man, there's so much you can do.
Yeah. And that's the note of today, man. It's positive, man. It's good. And ownership, extreme ownership.
Yeah. Before we end, I guess I have, two more points that I kind of want to dig into a little bit. And if you're not comfortable, you don't have to talk about it. But you're a dad now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Knowing what you do know and what your growth's been like in the last 5 years, how has that changed you as a dad? Or has it even changed you?
Yeah, it's changed me. Let's answer that real quick. Yeah, for sure it's changed me. I see things differently. I see things less from what I want versus what she needs. And what does she want? So less of that, I want her to do this, I want her to do this, I want her to do this. I need her to stay away from this or do that. I don't do that nearly as much as I would have before. I almost look at parenting now like a coach, like a performance coach. And looking at my daughter, okay, who is she as a person? What are her personality traits? What is she like? What does she gravitate towards? And figuring out how to guide her to achieve those things, rather than saying, you need to go to school, you need to be this, you need to be that. That's the end of it. You're not going to date. You're not going to do this. Like all of those types of kind of conversations, right? I'm really working really hard not to put anything on her that I want. And so for me, I can suggest things. I was talking to Max the other day about it. Because for me, this is, kind of something that's helpful maybe it's helpful for people who are divorced. I don't know. I'll throw this out there. So my ex has my daughter most of the time. My daughter comes over a couple times a week, and then I go to every soccer practice, every game, everything. So I see her frequently, but she's not with me. And so anytime I have conversations with my ex, it's not with me saying, you have to do this. It's like, here's my suggestion. It's up to you if you're going to do it or not. Or it's up to you if you think it makes sense. And then she said to me, well, you're her dad too. I go, yeah, but she's not with me all the time. And you can override anything. So for me, why should I even think about having control over anything? I don't control anything. What I can do is give you my perspective and some suggestions and what I think makes sense from my experiences. It's up to you if you're going to execute against it, because I can't control that. And so when I said that, she kind of was like, oh, okay. And that's the reality. That's how I manage it. Yeah. Because for me, I can't control it. She's not with me 24/7. And I don't know if I want to. Like, honestly, I don't know if I want to control so much. I want to obviously create boundaries and guardrails, but I also want her to do what is natural for her. And, there are certain basic requirements, like, you have to learn jiu-jitsu. And that's not because I love it, because I do, but it's because it's just like learning how to swim. It's a life skill to protect yourself. So that's a different element. Now, if I had the choice when she started soccer, I probably wouldn't have put her in soccer. I don't like soccer. Never did. But I like it now because I get to see my daughter develop and grow through it. And so initially I was like, I'm not putting her in soccer. I don't like it. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Now that I say it out loud, it's ridiculous. And so for me, she loves it. So like, cool, man. Do you want to do more? So I don't even like, it's between me and my ex and her family. They kind of, we decide how things are going to happen. And so for me, I don't force her to do anything. We always ask her, hey, do you want to do extra? Do you feel like, are you having fun? If she's a yes to all of those things, okay, let's keep doing it. As soon as she doesn't want to do something, we make different pivots. And also with like, start asking her, hey, what would you like to do? What kind of things? So she's talking about wanting to be a doctor one day. I mean, she's young. She's almost 9. You know, that'll change like 1,000 more times. But if she's saying that, cool. How do we create an environment for her that can happen when she's 18, 19, 20? Mm-hmm. That's by presenting her all of the options. Okay, maybe we're going to go to this school. Maybe you're going to do this activity. Maybe you're going to study this. And kind of open it up to her. So we're not forcing her to be a doctor. Because we're both South Asian. You're going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You're going to be an engineer. I don't care how it's going to, none of that. So no forcing, more of organic realizations of what she's going to want to do. And then if she controls it, then she dictates the outcome. She has confidence. She has self-worth. No one's giving it to her. She's creating it.
Yeah, that's, man, I wish all South Asian dads thought that way. But I think this is a really good place to kind of end our conversation for today. And really, it's about mentorship. What we were trying to get to is the importance of having at least one good mentor in your life who can nudge you in the right direction. But it's also up to you to pursue mentorship. No one's going to come for you. You need to make that effort to find it. And there are a lot of people out there who are willing to help. So if you're listening to this, and specifically if you're a man and you feel a little bit, sad about the way your life has turned out, change is possible. You have an example right here. Healing is possible. And there are people out there who are willing to help you. You just have to make that first step to go out there and ask for it. And what we're trying to do to help you is we have some resources available with the Canadians Men's Health Foundation. So the links are in the description. Tons of really cool resources to at least start you in the right direction. And stay tuned to the podcast because we're also working on a mentorship program. So one of the things we're super excited, we've already kind of put it together. We're just figuring out how to start launching it and actually conducting it. But pretty soon we're going to have a mentorship program. And if you're interested, please drop us an email and we'll try to get you on the wait list as well. Do you have some closing thoughts and want to take us out?
Yeah, man. So listen, anybody who's listening to this, first step is to just take ownership, have positive attitude, seek out mentorship, people that you feel you resonate with, and then start reaching out. Be curious. And this has been episode 13 of the Long Run podcast, going through Canmore, talking about mentorship, a little bit of a deeper dive on some of my issues over the last 20 years. But we do this to share and be transparent and to show that anybody can achieve anything despite what they might have been through. And so we want to be transparent, and that's what we're going to be doing as we continue down this podcast. On episode 13, we'll see you next week. On episode 14, on the Long Run.
Awesome.